The 2021 NBA Draft Lottery was last night, and there have been many great prospects admitted for this draft. Today, I'm going to be making my mock draft for the 2021 NBA Draft, going from pick 1 with the Detroit Pistons all the way to pick 14 with the Golden State Warriors. So, let's get started.
That the number 1 pick in the 2021 NBA Draft goes to the Detroit Pistons.
The Detroit Pistons, probably the most desperate team in the NBA right now. Their best player is Jeremy Grant, who was just a bench power forward last year. Now this year he's averaging 20 a game, but other than that, their team is bad. Yes, they beat my Raptors 3 times, so we're not focusing on the Raptors, at least not for now. Anyways, I have the Detroit Pistons going with pretty much the consensus number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham. Cade is the obvious favorite to go number 1 this year. He's a 6'8" point guard. He's 6'8" point guard from Oklahoma State. He's just Cade. I mean, he's had comparisons to Luka Doncic, and you know what Luka's doing nowadays. Cade could score in the paint, from mid-range, and beyond the 3-point line. He's great at creating his own shot. Good playmaker. That's why they say he's like Luka Doncic. And honestly, I don't see him not going number 1. And the Pistons definitely could use Cade, considering right now their best shooting guard is Wayne Ellington. Yes, I know Cade is a point guard, but it wouldn't be that much trouble to have a backcourt of Killian Hayes and Cade Cunningham destroying defenders. Well, not really destroying, but you know what I mean. Cade and Killian could be a good young backcourt to start off this Pistons rebuild. That's why I think with the number 1 pick, the Pistons should draft Cade Cunningham.
The second pick will be made by the Houston Rockets.
The Houston Rockets, a team that pretty much went from contenders to a lottery team in 2 seasons. There are many other teams, just like that in this lottery, but we're going to get to them later. But the Houston Rockets, they have Christian Wood, a nice young forward who has some potential, and John Wall, an older point guard who could have a lot to teach. I have them going with the second pick in the NBA draft, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is a skilled 7-foot power forward / center. He can handle the ball in the open court, and he's not really the big man, the powerful big man that you'd expect, but he's more of a finesse player than a power player. He has high IQ on the floor, and he can make plays in transition. His comparison is a taller Chris Bosh, but longer and skinnier, I guess. Or a LaMarcus Aldridge with better mobility, agility, and open court speed. It's hard to find many players like Evan Mobley, and I think he's a player that the Rockets could use in their rebuild. The Rockets' main bigs right now are Kelly Olynyk, Christian Wood, and Kenyon Martin Jr. I think Evan Mobley could add to this front court rotation with his high IQ and his great defense. He also has some small forward skills, and he can guard multiple positions. Defense was one of the Rockets' main issues last year, with their defensive rating being bottom 5 in the league. So I think Evan Mobley could definitely contribute a lot to this team. Another option I had them going with here was Jalen Suggs, but the only way they would consider that is if they were letting go of John Wall. And since it hasn't been confirmed that they traded John Wall yet, I'll just go with Evan Mobley, since he's the safest option here. So with the second pick in the NBA draft, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Evan Mobley.
The third pick goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Cleveland Cavaliers. 2016 NBA champs, 2021 NBA failures. They have Colin Sexton and Jared Allen, so those are some, I guess, young pieces that were pretty good this season. But other than that, it's not really that much on their team. They do have their other young guard, Darius Garland, and their young guard/forward, Isaac Okoro, who they drafted in the 2020 draft. But really, their future isn't that bright. It's more of a faded future. You know what? Let me get straight to the point. I have the Cavs picking Jalen Green. Jalen Green is a 6'6" shooting guard coming out of, well, the G League actually. He's probably going to be the highest pick to ever come out of the G League. He's an elite scorer with blazing athleticism, bounce instincts, and he's really competitive. He has an elite burst, quick first step, and he can blow by defenders easily. When it comes to his comparisons, he's built like Ray Allen, has a game like Clyde Drexler, and is fierce like Kobe. I see the Cavs picking Jalen Green because they already have a good big, they already have two good point guards, and they already have a good small forward. The ideal position to pick would be a power forward, but I don't see many good power forwards who would be a good fit for them at this high of a pick. Jalen Green can be the starting shooting guard beside Colin Sexton or Darius Garland. I have heard some trade rumors, including Colin Sexton, but other than that, it looks like he's here to stay. So Colin Sexton and Jalen Green could be another nice young backcourt coming from this league's draft. And that's why I think that with the fourth pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers should draft Jalen Green.
The fourth pick in the 2021 NBA draft presented by State Farm goes to the Toronto Raptors.
You already know, as a Raptors fan, I'm excited for this. The Raptors went from 2019 NBA champs to 2021 NBA disappointments. I know I said that line a few times in this video, but it fits for most of these teams. A lot of these teams went from being really, really good to being really, really bad. The Raptors do still have their key players in Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam. Many speculate that Kyle Lowry will be leaving the team or will be traded, but nobody truly knows what's going to happen. I'm going off the notion that Lowry is leaving, whether he gets traded or whether he signs somewhere else. Even if he doesn't leave, I still see this being as the pick that they go with. Anyways, with the fourth pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Toronto Raptors picking Jalen Suggs. Just a few months ago, Jalen Suggs was the biggest man in basketball after hitting one of the greatest shots in March Madness history. Now, the hype has died down, but he is still definitely going to be a top 4 pick in this year's draft. And I see him going to the Raptors. Suggs is a 6'4" guard who can play on or off the ball and brings energy and passion to his team. He's kinda built like an NFL safety, and he has the makings of a high-level 3-point shooter in the NBA. His comparisons are bigger Chauncey Billups or Brandon Roy. He can make big shots in big moments. He's pretty fast, and he can put on a ton of pressure on defense. I see Suggs going to the Raptors because the Raptors, well, they do need a center, and Evan Mobley would be the ideal pick for them, but Evan Mobley's off the board at this point. So if Evan Mobley is off the board, then I see them going with Jalen Suggs. Suggs could be a nice other guard who could replace Kyle Lowry eventually. If it's not this year, maybe in the next few years, since Kyle Lowry is about 35 years old. Suggs still does have a lot to learn, but I have a feeling the environment with great point guards like Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet will teach him a lot about being a good point guard who can play defense, score, and play make in the NBA at a high level. That's why I think with the 4th pick, the Raptors should go with Jalen Suggs. I'll try to get through the rest of this video pretty quickly because I want to focus more on the top 4 picks, but the rest I'll get through them quickly so this video doesn't end up being 30 minutes long. With the 5th pick, I have the Magic picking Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes is a 6'8" point forward out of Florida State University. His comparisons are a stronger Nicholas Batum, poor man's Magic Johnson, or taller Draymond Green. He has showed playmaking skill and ability. He played the point guard at Florida State. He can guard 4 to 5 positions. He has great length, strength, size, and a powerful build. And essentially the only thing holding him back right now is a good shot, since he struggles from the 3-point line and the free throw line. I see the Magic picking him because right now they do have Jonathan Isaac, they do have 2 young point guards in Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz, and they also have Wendell Carter. So a wing would be their position of choice. But Scottie Barnes, you could run him at the point guard and run Fultz or Cole at the shooting guard. It doesn't matter because it works either way. With the 6th pick in the NBA draft, I have the Thunder selecting Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga is a ridiculous athlete who's absolutely explosive off the floor. 6'7" small forward, also coming out of the G League, just like Jalen Green. He has a ridiculous blow-by ability, and you have to respect that. And if you do, he might as well just take that mid-range or 3-point shot. His 3-point shot isn't really that consistent yet, but he could develop it to make it even better in the future. Other notable weaknesses are he isn't the greatest free throw shooter and not the most creative ball handler, but he still is a really good athlete and has a decent shot, so that could get him far, at least in his rookie year. He might have to develop some other skills to get farther, but he'll get to those later in his career. His comparisons are Shawn Marion with more bulk, a bigger Jaylen Brown, or Dominique Wilkins. And honestly, I could see that. I see Kuminga going to the Thunder because they need a small forward. They have good guards in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Dort. Kuminga just adds to the scary end core. Added to the amount of draft picks Sam Presti acquired over the past few years, it's over for you, Lee. This team is next up. So that's why I have the Thunder with the 6th pick in the 2021 NBA draft selecting Jonathan Kuminga. This pick was actually harder to determine than you'd expect. It came down to 2 players in the end, Josh Giddey and Davion Mitchell. I ended up picking Josh Giddey based on fit. Josh Giddey, I think, fits with the Warriors more than Davion Mitchell would. Josh Giddey is a playmaker. I'd see him coming off the bench, and considering the Warriors' main playmaker was Draymond Green, the Warriors need this. Davion Mitchell would bring the defense off the bench, but at the same time, Josh Giddey, he's not that bad of a defender either. Giddey is a 6'8" point guard from Australia. He's tall, lanky, and very talented, playing against grown men, and he's dominating. He's a decent outside shooter who shoots a set shot and a great playmaker, as you can see from these clips. Not many people know about him, but he could make some noise in the league. Honestly, in my true opinion, I think the Warriors should trade this pick, but if they do use the pick, this is who they should get. And that's why I think with the 7th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I think the Warriors should select Josh Giddey if they do use the pick. You know how earlier I said the Magic needed a wing? This is who they get. Keon Johnson, a 6'4" and 3/4 shooting guard out of Tennessee. He just set the all-time record in the draft combine for the highest vertical leap with 48 inches. That is crazy. As you can tell from that one stat, his athleticism is ridiculous. Although he does need to refine his offensive skills a bit, he really shows out on defense. He's a hard-nosed defender who gives great effort and can guard 3 different positions. He's big enough to guard small forwards. His position is shooting guard, so he has to guard shooting guards, and he has quick feet to guard point guards. He has the potential to become a great offensive player in this league, and he already has the skills to become a great defensive player in the league. His comparison is mainly a smaller Jaylen Brown, but another one is kind of a young Ron Artest. I could see it. I see him going to the Magic, and remember when I said Scotty Barnes would start at point guard? Scratch that. I'd have Scotty Barnes at small forward, Keon Johnson at shooting guard, Cole Anthony at point guard, or Markelle at point guard, doesn't matter who. Then John Isaac at power forward, and Wendell Carter at center. That young team is going to be ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous, but, you know, they're going to be a good young core to start out this Magic rebuild. And honestly, I'm excited for this Magic rebuild. I'm not even joking. This Magic future is looking bright. At least brighter than the Cavs. Anyways, that is why with the 8th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Magic selecting Keon Johnson. With the 9th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Kings selecting Kai Jones. Kai Jones is a 6'11" power forward out of Texas University. He's extra long, bouncy, quick, and impressive around the rim. He can score in the open court and can take a defender in the half-court setting. He still needs to refine his ball handling, but that'll come with time. His defense is actually pretty good too. He's a high-level shot blocker and a solid overall defender. His defensive versatility and ability to step out and guard smaller players gives him a ton of added value on the NBA level. He doesn't really have any specific comparisons, but I see shades of guys like Giannis, Anthony Davis, and mainly those 2 guys in him. I think he should go to the Kings because the Kings are kind of struggling with their bigs right now. They do have Marvin Bagley, but that's not really working out. Hassan Whiteside is another center they have on the team, but he's might be off his deal later on, and he's pretty old, so they could use a nice young big, considering their next best big is Richaun Holmes. And Richaun Holmes isn't going to start this rebuild. Kai Jones might. They already have a good young core with the guards, including Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox, and Tyrese Halliburton. And hopefully they can establish another young core with the bigs, including maybe Marvin Bagley and hopefully Kai Jones. So that's why with the 9th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting Kai Jones. With the 10th pick in the NBA draft, I have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell is a 6'1" point guard out of Baylor University, and he recently won the NCAA championship in the March Madness tournament. He's a tough, hard-nosed point guard who impacts on both ends of the floor. He's a good playmaker, can drive to the rim, he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the draft, and he's developed a decent three-point shot over his career. Although he does need to improve his free throw shooting, he's still a good defender, a pretty good playmaker, a decent three-point shooter, although that also could improve, and he could end up being a good 3-and-D player in this league, or 2-and-D, who knows. His comparisons are Kemba Walker or Jarrett Jack, but with a smoother offensive game. I have the Pelicans taking Davion Mitchell as their next point guard off the bench, backing up Alonzo. Eric Bledsoe might not be long term, but I could see Davion Mitchell eventually becoming maybe even that starting shooting guard. Well, maybe not. He is 6'1", and his height does limit him in some aspects of the game, but he could still be a good player in this league. I considered putting Josh Giddey here for the Pelicans, but I recognized the lack of playmaking on the Warriors, and I decided to move him there instead of Mitchell. Mitchell could also add to the defense on the Pelicans. Josh Hart has shown to be a pretty good defender, so that defensive backcourt this upcoming season could be deadly. And that's why I have the New Orleans Pelicans with the 10th pick selecting Davion Mitchell. With the 11th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Corey Kispert. Corey Kispert is a 6'7" wing coming out of Gonzaga University. He's a three-point marksman, and he might be the best shooter in the draft class. He has a very quick release and doesn't need much time or space to get a shot off. He may not be a real standout on defense, but on offense, he's definitely going to be a threat. You'll always have to stay on him, whether he has the ball or not. He's one of the safer bets in the first round, and he doesn't have the highest upside, but he could be a decent piece to help your team in their rebuild. His comparisons are Joe Harris, which really makes sense with the shooting, and Martell Webster. I think that he could add just mainly shooting to the Hornets, considering they already have a star or future star player in LaMelo Ball. LaMelo getting lobs to Miles Bridges and getting assists to Corey Kispert at the three-point line will definitely be fun to watch in the future. So that's why I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Corey Kispert. With the 12th pick, I have the Spurs selecting Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner is a 6'9" small forward out of Michigan, but he was originally from Germany. He is the younger brother of Mortiz Wagner, who is currently in the NBA. I'm pretty sure he's on the Wizards, the Bulls, or the Celtics, one of those teams. But anyways, Franz has a really nice scoring ability and is pretty efficient with his shots, shoots over 80% from the free throw line, and has an overall nice shooting touch. He's a heady player who understands spacing, pace, and how to find cutting teammates and where to be on the court. He doesn't really project elite defender, but he's putting up a decent amount of steals and blocks. Comparisons: Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Tyler Honeycutt, two players who you probably don't even know. But based on his scouting report, I could see him being a decent player for the Spurs. He's a pretty good shooter, and the Spurs could use a shooter, especially at this time, when their main best shooter is Lonnie Walker or Derek White. And maybe I just don't watch Spurs games, but the Spurs didn't really do the best this season. They were in the play-in tournament, but then they lost to the Grizzlies and their season was over. DeRozan might be out this season, so Franz Wagner, whether he starts or comes off the bench, could be a nice young piece to help this team at least be decent or rebuild. Depends on which direction they go. So that's pretty much why I have the Spurs selecting, with the 12th pick in the 2021 draft, Franz Wagner. With the 13th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Indiana Pacers selecting Isaiah Jackson. Isaiah Jackson is a 6'9" power forward / center out of Kentucky University. He's an exceptional athlete and one of the best defenders in the class. Quick leaper, explodes off the floor, and he's got the tools to be an impactful defender at the next level. He has excellent length and legit power forward size. he could guard a wing and guard guards pretty much. So he can legit guard any position if he just fixes up his defense a bit. He has that potential. His offensive game is mostly dunks, putbacks, and fast break layups, but he's a decent free throw shooter and shows some promise as a mid-range shooter. But mainly right now, his focus is on defense. His comparisons are an Amari Stoudemire-like player, or Chris McCullough, who none of you probably know, but I know just because I have his basketball card. Anyways, I have the Pacers selecting him mainly because of their lack of bigs. You might be saying, oh, well, they have Sabonis, they have Miles Turner, and then there's really one more big off the bench, and after that, it's pretty low. Their backup power forward is Doug McDermott, who really, I'd say, qualifies as a small forward. So Isaiah Jackson could be a nice backup big for the Pacers, and he could bring some defense, considering the Pacers didn't really have much of that this season. So that's why I have, with the 13th pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the Pacers selecting Isaiah Jackson. Johnson is a 6'9" small forward / power forward out of Duke University. He's a versatile player who can play on or off the ball, and he has legit point guard skills, kind of like Scotty Barnes, but a bit worse. That doesn't mean he's really that bad. He's a heady player who makes good reads, a skilled passer, good playmaker, has ridiculous athleticism, and decent shooting form, but he's pretty inconsistent. It could take him time to refine his jumper and make it real good, but he has time for that in the NBA. Not much time, but still time. He did have a foot injury that sidelined him for most of his time at Duke, but despite these concerns, he's still a big-time prospect. I have the Warriors selecting him because the Warriors could use a nice forward off the bench. This year, their main forward off the bench, or forwards, were Eric Pascal and Juan Toscano. Although Pascal and Toscano were playing pretty good and putting in good minutes, I think Jalen Johnson could be a good upgrade from at least one of them. And he could bring some young scoring along with, or at least some young playmaking, along with Josh Giddey to this nice Warriors team. But I still think the Warriors could trade this pick and the 7th pick and become contenders. Anyways, that's pretty much it. We made it all the way from pick 1 to pick 14. And it's almost a 30-minute video. Maybe it's a 30-minute video by the time I'm done recording, but who knows. Anyways, that took a ridiculous amount of hours of research, recording, and editing. So please, if you enjoyed, at least like the video. I doubt my predictions will be right, but you never know. Maybe I'm just, see in the future. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share. Try not to make this like my other channel intro, but that'll be it for me today. Speedy Hoops out. I don't know. You know what? Forget it. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.